If visiting America, what is something that person should never do? Story 1. The price marked on the shelf does not include taxes. What you see is not what you pay. Edit. You'll need to read the other comments before commenting that your state doesn't have sales tax. It's been said already. Story 2. Do not cut in line. We are not British. We won't just shake our heads and mutter under our breath. Americans will absolutely start a fight over line cutting. It will become a whole big thing. People will film it on their phones. And boom, there you are all over Reddit, getting beat up because you couldn't just wait your turn in line for a few minutes. Story 3. Back in my MMO days, a Scottish friend of mine went to Atlanta once and called a black guy boy. I guess you just call people boy in Scotland. Yeah, but do not call black people boy. It's perceived as racist talking down to them, and it's a good way to get in a fight, especially in the South. Story 4. Don't go to dangerous neighborhoods because you saw them on TV, not a foreign visitor, but a naive friend from Colorado came to visit in California and wanted to see the gangs on Crenshaw in South Central L.A. because he'd seen it on some cop show. Yeah, no, we're not driving through the hood so you can take pictures of the thugs and poor people. He's a Latino guy too, so the last thing I needed was someone thinking he was cruising and looking for a fight. Story 5. Do not haggle for prices except at pawn shops, second-hand shops, car dealerships, flea markets, and internet phone call providers. You'll be mocked if you do that anywhere else as it is considered rude. Story 6. A few from personal accounts of people I know, do not think it's acceptable to bribe someone in authority. It's not even a joking matter in the U.S. I grew up in a country where it was an unwritten rule that these things could be negotiated and there were telltale signs to know whether said authority was open to it. Coworker of mine knows a guy comes from a European country where this is commonplace that was in the U.S. and had to be escorted out of a shopping mall because he catcalled a group of girls, who also happened to be underage. Yeah, that's a no-go here. Maybe it will be tolerated at a nightclub, but in public, you'll likely face repercussions. It's just not culturally acceptable. Note that's not to say it doesn't happen in the U.S., as I know it's a problem in a lot of major cities. Story 7. Don't carry a large amount of cash on you or carry only big bills. This is so common in Japan, a cash-based society. A student of mine here in Japan told me her husband had his wallet stolen in Boston when he was carrying mostly cash. Major cities and large stores restaurants are very card-friendly. It's safer and easier. Story 8. Smell bad. It sounds like a joke, but Americans are really unaccepting of any type of BO. We probably won't actually say anything to you, but we will automatically dislike you. Story 9. Disobey park rules regarding nature and wildlife. If you're in a National Stationy park, follow the rules, stay on the trail, don't litter, don't touch any wild plant life, camp, coke, dump us the toilet in designated spaces, etc. The reason for the park is for preservation, and for you to walk, relax, and breathe in it. It is not to be used to take a giant cooler full of cheap beer, drink half of it, leave it, and then take pictures of you knocking over a large rock that's over 1,000,000 years old. Also, if you're one of the 10 people waiting in the World War II monument in D.C., the other 90 people are reading the signs that say no swimming, and watching with severe disappointment. Story 10. I spend a bit of time abroad with people foreign to the U.S. Pointing is very rude. My one friend from Thailand would always point to people when speaking about them. It was just very uncomfortable, and I didn't realize it was part of the social structure here until she was doing it everywhere. Don't point at complete strangers and talk about them. You may end up starting a fight. The American South, while known probably to some for being racist, is very, very big into politeness and manners. Generally do things like hold the door open for others. A cashier may ask you, "Hi, how are you?" Just answer, "Good, how are you?" Or "I'm okay, how are you?" But whatever you answer, remember to return the ask. Always say please and thank you. If you make eye contact with a stranger, give a smile and a nod. Unless they say hi, then say hi back. I also tend to end conversations with people by saying have a good one. If meeting somebody, more of a professional thing when shaking hands, let the person who initiated the handshake introduce themselves first. Also, Americans tend to be very friendly and will strike up conversations with people. Don't be afraid to chat. Just don't bring up politics. Edit. Well, thanks for silver. I wrote this as soon as I woke up yesterday, so I'm surprised I even made sense. Honestly, didn't think anyone would read it. I also want to clarify, I don't think all Thai people go around pointing fingers, and I do realize my friend is a bit, on the stranger side, though I wasn't sure before if it was just a Thai mannerism or not. Also, I realize people are polite outside of the South. I just meant to say people in the South take manners pretty seriously. Story 11. Don't smoke around children. Definitely do not pester, feed, or endanger a wild animal, and don't harm someone's animal. Kicking or mistreating a dog cat around here is grounds for fighting. Please show respect and courtesy around monuments, parks, and historical sites, be they local, state, or federal. Our history might be young, but it's still our history. Every gun is loaded. Bubba will not be happy if you blow your hand off, so just don't touch any unless supervised. Story 12. Don't try to haggle. Unless you're at a garage sale, car dealership, or paying out of pocket for medical care, you really can't haggle in the U.S. Don't go without tipping, especially at restaurants, though it's higher in some states. The national minimum wage of tipped workers is $2.13. It's not considered an extra on top of their pay, but the source of the majority of their pay. Don't complain that taxes aren't included in the price. I know it's annoying, but the poor souls who have to work retail didn't set U.S. tax policy. Don't expect to get into bars or clubs under 21. In many countries, people can still go to these places underage and not drink. But in the US, the vast majority of places other than restaurants that serve alcohol will not allow anyone in under 21. Story 13 I got 3-1. We Americans love foreign visitors and we will pepper you with questions. Ask about your language, culture, almost really intrusive questions. Some might even try to relate to you on some level because we Americans are taught that the United States is a melting pot and we all have distant relatives in other countries. For the Irish, English, Scottish and German, do not be shocked or offended if an American says, "Oh, I'm insert heritage too. As awesome as we can be, we are the opposite of a homogeneous culture." This means we have people of different races, religions and ideologies. I know that our own politics can and will dominate the news headlines around the world, but I suggest you tread lightly when discussing politics and religion. This is because tribalism of religious and ideological beliefs run deep and Americans can and will get offended quickly. 3. Americans are about personal bubbles. If you're a stranger, keep an arm's distance when conversing with an American. If you are familiar with them, keep an elbow's distance. And lastly, unless you are extremely familiar with them, do not touch except for a handshake, or like the Swedish, but louder. Story 14 Don't use racial slurs. Good Lord, I work in the service industry with lots of people from China, and they'll just say the N-word with the hard R or just shitty racist stuff in general, and will be confused as to why people get pissed off. While America's race relations are strained at best, it's completely unacceptable to voice your racist opinions in public. If you choose to do it anyway, you'll be completely ostracized. And any people who are accepting of it are probably shitty racists themselves. Yikes, edit Jesus Christ. I'm not talking about the Chinese stutter word NEGA. I am referencing first-generation Chinese immigrants shamelessly refusing to serve people of color, snidely saying how black people are untrustworthy and thieves, and referring to our black coworkers and even customers as nuz in English conversation. Just because you haven't personally seen it or refuse to acknowledge, it doesn't mean it's not a huge problem that negatively affects a whole population of people. Story 15 Hit your child in public. I'm not condoning physical punishment against kids. I just know from experience that in some cultures that's a norm, but if you do it here, chances are you will be confronted by an irate bystander. Story 16 There's 330 million of us. Saying something like "I heard Americans like dislike" is almost always going to be met with a grain of salt resentment. Edit Don't start talking about serious or controversial issues or topics to strangers or people you've only known for 10 minutes or just know their name. Even if you and them agree on issues, it gets very uncomfortable very quickly if there's others around in the room, and people will just want to get away. People judge a lot on first impressions, so if you go right into talking about abortion, gun control, God, religion, immigration, etc., especially with no conversation prompt, people will make a lot of their conclusions about you right then and there, and that opinion will be centered on the topic you bring up. Example: had an Uber driver pick me and some classmates up from the airport to take us to our hotel for a conference. We're in the car not even for 30 seconds, and this guy we've never seen before asked us all what we think of Donald Trump. It turned out he had the same views and stances we did, but it was still extremely uncomfortable, and we couldn't wait for that ride to end. Story 17 The legal drinking age in the United States is a firm 21 everywhere. So if you come from a country where the legal age is 18 and are under 21 and you attempt to buy any alcohol, you'll be unable to. Story 18 Don't dine at a sit-down table service restaurant and not tip just to make a point. Not the way things are done in your country. Great, part of the fun of travel is experiencing other cultures. You should embrace the opportunity to experience our primitive way of life firsthand. Story 19 As an American living in London, hey, race the things I tell my British friends traveling to the States. 1. Don't forget to tip your bartender. 2. If someone asks how are you, just say good or something similar. We don't actually give a how you're doing, we ask because it's polite. 3. Don't criticize our culture or politics to our faces. Even if we agree with you, it will annoy many of us, for if you are driving, don't forget that you can make a right turn on a red light, and if you get pulled over by a cop, being friendly respectful can go a long way. 5. If you're sick and traveling via metro, keep that on the down low as best you can. Many of us can get fussy about people being sick in close quarters. 6. Don't be late to everything. 10 to 15 minutes is the polite amount of late for social engagements, but other things, like school, doctor's appointments, reservations bookings, etc., just be on time. FFS. 7. Don't sit around for hours in a restaurant after eating. The waitstaff get fussy. 8. Do not worry about getting shot. That is, unless you're dealing drugs or breaking into someone's house. 9. Give us space. We get agitated when our personal space about 2-ish feet is invaded. Story 20 Bribing people. Like, I realize in some parts of the world it's perfectly acceptable to grease the wheels a little bit to get done, but it's a no-go here. Edit Only real exceptions here. Bouncer at a club or maitre d'. Also, it's not a guarantee. Story 21 Don't litter. Don't talk down to people in service industries. They work for the company and not for you. They are not servants, and they deserve respect and decency. If you make eye contact, nod or acknowledge the presence of the other person, don't act superior because you have status of some sort in your country. We'll be perfectly nice to you, but we absolutely will not kiss your. Do not act aggressively or try to intimidate others. You'll experience passive aggression or real aggression in return. We have a strong sense of fair play here. We believe in equality and expect you to act accordingly. Don't insult or diminish others. Try to go with the flow. Go along to get along. We are happy to have you here, but this is our home, so please be respectful of everyone. Edit people seem to be getting offended by my comment, and I understand. I worked at a tourist attraction many years ago that had visitors from all over. I answered the question based on my personal encounters. Bad encounters were extremely rare, but very memorable and at times degrading. I apologize for any offense. Story 22. Don't try to walk along really busy roads. Not all roads have sidewalks. Not all roads are walkable. People will think you're in distress and the police may stop you to check if you're okay. Story 23. Don't talk about the country you are in, or how things are better in your country. In fact, don't talk about how things are in your country, unless it is a natural part of the conversation. Do make small talk. If you are short or don't reply, people will think you are in. So if someone says how are you today, you are expected to tell them followed up by what about you. Story 24. Don't forget to tip. Waiter, waitress, bartender, valet, cabbie, bellman, etc. We don't do it where from isn't an acceptable reason. Moral opposition is fine, but you're not fixing the system by stiffing your waitress. Story 25. Don't use politics as a conversation starter. That's something we only really discuss with family in person. I was surprised how often US and world politics came up as an opening conversation while traveling in Europe last year. Story 26. Don't diss a man's car. Don't bring up politics or religion. Tip. Don't assume that people from the South are stupid. Assume that people have guns. Don't argue or look for fights. Story 27. Be nice to the animals. We tend to place a really high value on animal life here. If you get to know someone who treats their pet like a human child, don't mind it, and certainly don't purposely try to hurt it. If you get caught abusing an animal, even just a stray dog cat on the street, you'll certainly face repercussions, whether it be a fine or jail time. You'll also see a lot of roadkill, but don't try to hit an animal on the road on purpose. There's lots of roadkill because we have a lot of possums and armadillos and they're fairly stupid, so they get on the road and get run over a lot. Most of the time it's an accident. Story 28. Murder. It is generally frowned upon here. Also blunt racism. Also, if you get in trouble with the police, be polite. Do what they ask, and don't tell them anything beyond providing ID and saying you won't say anything more without a lawyer, but then jokes on you because now you have to get a lawyer. Good luck as a foreign visitor. Basically, don't commit crimes, especially while in a foreign country. Story 29. Respect personal space. I've had foreign friends visit, and when they talk to you they tend to stand extremely close and it makes me cringe every time. Same goes for standing in lines. Make sure to leave a couple feet in between you and the person in front of you. Story 30. If you go to Texas or anywhere else in the South, you're expected to shake hands when introducing yourself. When I say shake hands, I don't mean no limp, clammy noodle. No one wants to feel that. Wipe your hand on your pants, then try to break the other dude's hand before he can break yours. Story 31. Some of my foreign coworkers didn't understand how dangerous it is driving on snow. Depending on the climate where you're from and how common driving is, you may have never experienced it. You have to drive slower if there's any snow, and depending on the consistency you may have to drive quite a bit slower. Tip 1 is to watch how other people are driving in it and mimic the more conservative drivers you see. Also, if you're ever driving somewhere that you aren't sure of the conditions, pick a safe spot to try stopping as fast as you can and see how quickly your vehicle actually slows down. Don't do this if someone is following you closely because you could cause a wreck. Otherwise, and if this is the case in other countries as much as here, so you may know this already, people are generally more aggressive and less deferential in more urban areas. Even just living in a more rural part of the country most of my younger life, it was a culture shock moving to a large city. People even drive more aggressively, but it tends to be the overall mindset too. People have mentioned cutting in line being a major no-no, but that sort of depends where you're at actually. You might get away with it with no more than a silently pissed Midwestern lady behind you if you do it in less urbanized areas. Or if you try that in Jersey or NYC, you'll get your handed to you basically. Just don't make the mistake of going to a medium to large city and being overly polite or deferential. People will take advantage. You need to be a hard target, and don't feel bad about it because the nicer people that live places like that understand the need to be guarded and a bit defensive in those areas. Story 32. Don't smoke cigarettes near kids. I worked at a pumpkin farm for kids and this old Polish man was casually lighting up in the middle of a crowd of children. He was so confused and didn't understand why he couldn't smoke there. Story 33. You got a tip. In America we lower the burden on business owners on paying employees so we can have more businesses. It's your responsibility to pay for labor. Most business owners lose money. It's not like they're super rich. You got to tip. Racism. And America has this reputation of being backwards compared to super liberal Europe. I found this not to be true at all. Don't catcall women. Don't even broach the issue of race ethnic groups. Mexicans are such hard workers. Won't fly here. This is good advice for any person in any place, but applies very much here. For the love of God, please just go the speed limit, and never stop in the middle of the road no matter where you are. Editing in BC of the snow post below me. I'm strictly talking about clear roads and clear weather. I would be terrified to drive in snow, so I guess there's that exception. Story 34. EU here. Why should I not get out of the car unless specifically asked by the police? Edit. Thanks for all of your replies, guys. Very much appreciated. Story 35. Don't get too far away from any major highway. Don't let your tank of gas go under half. Most people traveling here haven't been to a country this big and this empty before, easy to assume there will be roadside services and get stuck. Story 36. Take U Cup B Empty life-size Pope body pillow from him. Something you should do is make sure to send Patriots gear to U Cup B Empty to thank him for being such a kind mod that we can playfully tease him. Edit. I should probably provide some real advice as well. Don't ignore the next gas 100-mile signs. They ain't joking around. Story 37. Best advice I can give: don't be racist. Please, like I don't give a how acceptable it is where you're from, don't do it here. Seriously, you're begging to get your kicked, and if I'm around you'll definitely get your kicked. I still grit my teeth when I think of that Dutch guy who came on here talking about how Newark has too many black and Hispanic people. Guys like that are the real undesirables I want staying away from my country. Story 38. Don't wear Nazi stuff. And even if what you're wearing isn't a swastika but the original symbol, I think it's Buddhist, it's not a good idea to wear it. Story 39. Do not try to go across the country in one day like you would in a small country. I hear some people say they want to go from New York and road trip to Miami then San Francisco in one day. That would take a week or two. We are a big country with lots of places. Story 40. Don't urinate in public areas. Even if you think you are doing so discreetly, if you're an adult male and alone, do not hang out near or take photos in areas designated for children and children are present. Do not snot rocket indoors. Pick up after yourself after eating at a restaurant where you do not have a designated server. Do not give highway exit panhandlers money. Don't open conversations with your religious affiliation. Edit. Added that last one as I had remembered a very odd interaction back from when I used to work in retail around 2006 that was something along the lines of, hello, we are Christians and we are looking for chargers for our phones. We only have our German chargers and they do not work here. I'm guessing they were Bavarian maybe. Story 41. When you come down to Texas, understand that we have a slightly different approach to things than most other states. The main reason being, Texas might as well be its own country. We're about 10 hours top to bottom and 12 hours across. People from Dallas are very different than Houston or San Antonio or El Paso. Austinites are a breed all their own. Generally we take things a bit slower here except driving, in which case we're pretty crazy. Looking at you hometown, we're friendly, we treat women with respect because it's proper. If you don't, things will go badly. Also, concealed handguns are common. Don't be rude here. Clean up after yourself. Give people a little bit of extra space in all things. Texas is big, which means we don't have to crowd each other. Come hungry and don't be afraid to ask for seconds. If you need anything, ask. Most people love to help out if they can. And lastly, if someone waves as you drive by, wave back. Story 42. Come uninformed of the law and find yourself on the wrong side of it. Cops here are armed to the teeth compared to most European countries. And whether you're dealing with a level-headed LEO or a deranged sadist is entirely up to chance. Be informed, be sane, and stay safe. Story 43. Cops are no joke here. Be respectful, do not argue. Arguing is for the courtroom. Also, you cannot bribe your way out of anything here. Ignoring the obvious of the super wealthy with friends in high places and attempting to bribe will usually end up in a more serious penalty than you were in for in the beginning. Story 44. If you are white, do not use the N-word. If you are black or whatever Cardi B is, feel free to use the N-word as much as you like. Also, don't use the derogatory F-word for gay people unless you yourself are gay. Then it is okay to use. In general, I think tourists just need to understand America's double standards and how they work. Story 45. In New Jersey and Oregon, you can't pump your own gas. Yes, you can get a ticket for it. This changed recently for gas stations outside major cities after hours. Edit. Interestingly, diesel vehicles are accepted in Oregon. Story 46. Regarding laws about alcohol in particular, and assume that because you know the law in one state, it will be the same in another state. Laws vary a lot. These things are regulated by state law and may vary, and sometimes may vary by city or county. Closing times of bars, liquor stores, and restaurants that serve alcohol. Whether alcohol is sold on Sundays. Whether supermarkets are allowed to sell alcohol. Whether children are allowed to enter places where alcohol is sold. Whether the same business that sells wine and beer is also allowed to sell distilled liquor. Whether businesses that sell alcohol by the drink bars and restaurants are also allowed to sell you a bottle to take home. Whether you are allowed to bring your own alcohol into a restaurant that does not sell it. Whether you are allowed to drink alcohol in a public park or on the street. Am I missing anything? By the way, even Americans are sometimes confused or surprised when they visit another state. Story 47. Don't preach to us about gun laws. We could care less about how Europe views our gun laws culture. Instead, enjoy it while you're here and hit up a shooting range or have someone take you shooting. Gun people love taking someone foreign shooting for the first time. Story 48. Absolutely never threaten a cop in any way. Admittedly, the worst cases get publicized the most, and the police in the majority of the country are good people who have had people a lot crazier than you. I hope start fights with them. They won't hesitate to draw their weapon, not necessarily fire if they feel you're about to draw one yourself. They're just people who are just trying to get through their day and get home to their families like anyone else. Story 49. Americans are big on personal space, personal bubble. When waiting in line, don't stand too close. You do not really have to be afraid of people cutting in the US. Most people shake hands when they meet each other, not hug. Story 50. Well, a lot of the obvious is listed, so here goes pickpocket. I understand most of the rest of the world has a lax attitude with regard to that. As it happens, I don't know if that's a class thing, or I'm desperate, maybe it's a good idea. There's a reason we don't have pickpockets. Story 51 late here, and haven't read all the comments, but don't casually touch, slap on the back, tap on the shoulder, hug, etc. someone unless you know them very well. We're very protective of our personal space, and we don't touch each other in a friendly manner like most European cultures unless they're very good friends or loved ones. Story 52 It truly depends where you're going in the USA, but in general, don't discuss politics, religion, guns, or abortion. Try to know the proper terms Americans are currently using for our peoples. Native American or indigenous, not Indian. African American, not black, and never use the N-word. Use proper pronouns with transgender people. Don't assume someone driving a pickup truck is a gun-slinging redneck. Americans like their pickup trucks, rednecks or not. 20 Tip always in restaurants, but first check the check to see if 18 has already been added. Tip the maid if staying in a hotel. I do 5 a night for 2 adults that aren't pigs. Ask the hotel staff or local bartender if it's safe to walk around. Don't trust TripAdvisor or other online services. There are parts of Baltimore that look cool to walk around. Shop, browse, but you really shouldn't. Craft beer is huge here in a lot of the cities. If you're in one of those cities, try their beer in a flight of beers. Where I live there are 100 craft breweries in the city and surrounding areas, and they're super proud. You'll make fast friends with waitstaff and bartenders by doing so. Story 53 If you are planning on driving, know the laws well. Also know that people will break them often in small ways, like not using a blinker or running a red light, etc. In some states drivers are more aggressive, like my state of Massachusetts. Road rage is a real thing and can be dangerous, so don't honk too much if someone cuts you off or something, especially if they're driving crazily. Don't engage. It's generally acceptable to go about 5 over the speed limit, or just go the speed of the cars in front of you. On the highway you have to go above the speed limit usually, like 50 to 65, sometimes 70. Stop signs people will usually only stop for a few seconds and then go if clear. If you're new to driving on the right, don't do that. You can drive through yellow lights if you have time, but not if they're red by the time you're in the intersection. Some people will turn when they're not supposed to. Just be safe and know the laws and the general customs of driving where you are and what is acceptable. Story 54 Assume that places like NYC, LA, Miami, etc. are America. Check out Yellowstone, Glacier NTL Park, Smoky MTNS, etc. if you want to see America. Story 55 Do not ever touch a stranger's child. Americans are increasingly aware of the prevalence of pedophiles, and it's strongly suspected of a strange man who approaches a kid and wants to interact with them for longer than saying hello. Unless a kid is absolutely about to hurt themselves and the only choice a good Samaritan has is to grab rescue them. Don't touch them, even if they are being huge. If you want to say something, say it to the parent, but expect a loud and forceful repudiation and possible physical threats. Even if you are completely right, you'll be seen as the aggressor. If you're female, it's more readily accepted if you want to play with them. But again, as a stranger, you'll be viewed with suspicion. Story 56 Do not try and bribe the police. I know in some countries it is common, but here you will be arrested. They also wear body cams most of the time, so there will be evidence if you do. Story 57 I don't know what you heard about American women, but treat them with the same respect as men. Catcalling is extremely rude at best, and could get you in trouble. Hitting on people underage could get you arrested. Groping a woman could get you arrested, if not beaten up. Prostitution is illegal and uncommon. I've heard some really insane things that a few foreigners have assumed about American women because of, all American women are easy, or all American women are prostitutes or open to prostitution, etc. Story 58 Never pass an unloading school bus. When those stop signs flap out, you've got to wait until those little crotch goblins get off the bus until you even think of moving again. Whether it's hitting a pedestrian child, getting a nasty ticket, or just the absolute looks of disgust you'll warrant, it won't be worth it. Story 59 Unless you're at a designated beach, do not expose yourself on a public beach. Even if it's for a second. We were down on a crowded beach in the Gulf and a European guy would change from tiny shorts to Speedo, go into the water for a minute or so, and then come out and change back into his shorts. Entire family must have seen his hairy junk a dozen times that day. We didn't really care and giggled like schoolgirls, but eventually someone else was offended and approached him. He clearly had no idea he was doing anything wrong. Story 60 Don't keep pestering people for an answer that they've already given you. I've learned from working at the international office at my university that in some cultures you don't take no as an answer right away. You're meant to argue your point and press to get the answer you want. That's not how it works here usually. If I say I cannot do something, it's not because I don't want to help you, it's because I truly cannot. Don't raise your voice with me and don't continue to harass me. No matter how you phrase your question, the answer will remain the same. Story 61 Don't get in the water unless it's explicitly marked that you can. 1. If it's a large body of water like a bay or waterway, it's likely polluted and boats might not see you. 2. If it's a small body of water in a park, swimming is likely not allowed for conservation purposes or just by cultural norm. 3. If it's a reflecting pool at a memorial, it's disrespectful to those who the memorial is honoring. People break this one all the time in DC. Please don't be one of those people. Story 62 Please don't insult Americans, or their religions or their race. I'm American, and have both lived overseas, and have had lots of close international friends in the States. You'd be amazed at how many people think it's okay to insult the food. No, American food isn't just KFC and McDonald's all the time or insult the intelligence of the people. I had an Egyptian roommate who literally told me I was fascist because I got a cute USA crop top to wear on the 4th. She literally kept saying fuck America, and insulting my religion to my face. I considered us friends, and so does she, but it was extremely offensive and she couldn't see anything wrong with telling the country that was paying for her scholarship to itself, there are plenty of terrible things about this country, but it's still a good home to a lot of good people. You'd be amazed at how often something like that will happen, and it's pretty insulting. Story 63 How are you doing today, etc. is not an actual inquiry, it is social lubricant meant to bridge the gap into a conversation without being blunt or offensive. It's generally accepted that you just tell them you're fine, great, or something else invoking positivity. If you're having a bad day, and you respond to this question legitimately, they are probably going to be stunned and have no idea how to handle that. Story 64 Fireworks are illegal in most parts of California. There are safe fireworks that are sold in some areas during the week of 4th of July, but do not take them to other parts of the state and assume they are okay to use, and do not bring fireworks from other states and use them here. Story 65 If you're driving and get pulled over, do not get out of the car, roll down your window and wait for the police officer to walk up to your car, keep your hands visible resting on the steering wheel. Story 66 If you're British, don't say you need to smoke out loud, the friggin' PC police will call you, and assume you're a homophobe before they realize what you're actually talking about. This goes for some of you Americans too, we eat with our mouths closed in this country, stay the away from Camden, New Jersey. Story 67 Do not bring drugs, do not have on phone, do not bring Kinder eggs, do not joke about bombs. Terrorism is not funny, so be cool. No pics of naked kids on phone. I know someone who was detained for having pics of their kids in the bathtub. Story 68 Don't get in a fight in Texas. Even my gran carries a gun. You'll have people on crutches offer to help push start your car, but trying to break into a house or business, even as a joke, will get you killed. Story 69 Don't eat the hot food from the convenience store. Also, most convenience stores don't have seating for eating or any way for you to cook your own food, so don't expect to find it there. Also, if you are driving in any area that is not completely urban, if there is no car coming, turn on your brights so that you don't hit a deer. Deer can mess up your car really bad and can kill or injure you, and every state has different hunting laws, so it is worse in some places than others. Deer are most active at night, so take care. Dogs might not be respected in your country, but treat them with respect in the US. If you kick a dog, expect someone to react violently. Story 70 The best place to find amazing food is the hole-in-a-wall places. In Houston, if you're the only one who speaks English in the restaurant, then it's bound to be good. Obviously don't go if you don't feel safe, but asking locals for good places to eat is the way to go.